All right, so we just had a jobs report come out recently, and honestly, it was pretty underwhelming. We were supposed to add something like 1 million jobs, and we only ended up adding around 260,000 or so. And so a lot of people are trying to explain, why is this the case? Why do we have businesses reporting that they can't find workers, and simultaneously we have an unemployment crisis that's still ongoing due to the situation involving COVID? And some of these big businesses, and specifically the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which we're going to discuss in this video, would want you to believe that basically the only reason why these companies are unable to find workers is because of these federal unemployment benefits that workers have been getting, and because the federal government is just showering these people in cash. That's what they want you to believe. So let's go ahead and listen to what the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has to say about this issue, and then I'll tell you exactly why it is bullshit. So U.S. Chamber of Commerce blames weak jobs report on enhanced unemployment benefit, kicks off lobbying efforts. So the largest business lobbying group in America on Friday blamed a $300 per week federal jobless benefit for enticing Americans to stay at home in April's far weaker than expected jobs report. Quote, "The disappointing jobs report makes it clear that paying people not to work is dampening what should be a stronger jobs market," the U.S. Chamber of Commerce said in the hours after the Labor Department released its April 2021 employment report. So the disappointing jobs report makes it clear that paying people not to work, first of all, you're not paying people not to work, you're giving them unemployment benefits, okay? They are unemployed people, meaning they are unable to find work, and you're giving them support because of that. It's not paying people not to work, but that's how they phrase it, of course. They continue, "One step policymakers should take now is ending the $300 weekly supplemental unemployment benefits," the lobbying group added. Based on the Chamber's analysis, the $300 benefit results in approximately 1 in 4 recipients taking home more in unemployment than what they earned working. Let me read that again. According to the Chamber's analysis, the $300 benefit results in approximately 1 in 4 recipients taking home more in unemployment than they earned working. So let's do a little bit of math in our heads here, real quick. $300 weekly unemployment benefits from the federal government. Assuming that somebody, is working a 40-hour work week, that would be typical. $300 per week divided by a 40-hour work week comes out to $7.50 per hour. So $7.50 per hour, that's not a living wage, okay? Regardless if it's coming from the federal government or if it's coming from a business, that's not a living wage, period, anywhere in the country. So if your business is unable to compete with $7.50 an hour, you need to pay your workers more. It's not that complicated. This is not a complicated issue. They want people to understand this issue as though only from the corporate side of this, as if there's nothing that the corporate side of this can do to remedy the issue. That it's just because the federal government is showering people in heaps of cash. Again, $7.50 an hour is what this is equivalent to. So that's what they want you to believe. Continuing on here, when you look across states or across sectors, and this is what Janet Yellen, Biden's Treasury Secretary, had to say about this. When you look across states or across sectors or across workers, if it were really the extra benefits that were holding back hiring, you'd expect to see that either in states or for workers or in or sectors where the replacement rate due to unemployment insurance is very high, you'd expect to see lower job finding rates, she said. And in fact, what you see is the exact opposite. So it's not true. What the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is trying to say, that federal unemployment benefits are causing people to not go look for jobs, is straight up untrue, as Janet Yellen points out here. Ilhan Omar also had something to say about this. She says, "The interests of big business are at war with the interests of the working class. They will spend millions of dollars a year to take away $300 a month away from you and your family, to force you to work for them for pennies. Their greed has no bounds." So, first of all, what is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce? It's basically just a lobbying group that represents corporate America. Okay, it's a lobbying group that originally, if you look at the history of it, was supposed to be a collection of a bunch of different businesses. And it turns out that, especially in recent history, they've actually lied about the amount of people that are in the U.S. Chamber of Commerce as a group. But basically, they're a lobbying group that lobbies the federal government on behalf of big business. okay, on behalf of, and it was exposed recently that like Walmart was one of their biggest clients, okay? So they represent big business, they represent corporate America, they represent the most corrupt aspects of our society, and then they go and they take that corruption and they go and try to bribe the US government, basically. So big businesses funnel money into the US Chamber of Commerce for them to go lobby on their behalf, on behalf of corporate America, and against the interests of the working class. So that's what Ilhan Omar is pointing out here. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also had something to say about this. She says, fun fact, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is a secretive business lobby that supported a $3 million effort to primary me out of office last year because I stand up to Wall Street. They lost, obviously. Walmart was outed as a secret client, as I just said. If unemployment is greater than wages, the solution is to actually start paying a living wage. This really, how is this anything controversial? That if your business is unable to compete with starvation wages, yeah, maybe you should be paying more. Or maybe your business just straight up shouldn't exist. If you are unable to maintain your business while also paying your workers a livable wage, then your business is not legit. I'm sorry, I don't know any other way to say it. Your business is not a legitimate business. Your business model relies on exploiting your labor force. That's what you're admitting if you're saying that you can't compete with $300 a week in unemployment insurance. That's exactly what all these businesses are saying. They're outing themselves in a way. And I've seen some of them post on Twitter or on any of these sites, and they post this shit openly. And it's honestly embarrassing. Like, you're basically just advertising that you have shitty pay and shitty benefits, so shitty that you can't even entice workers to choose that over starvation wages. I mean, that is a pathetic admission that these people are outing themselves as. So Bernie Sanders also weighed in here. He says, no, we don't need to end the $300 a week in emergency unemployment benefits that workers desperately need. We need to end starvation wages in America. If $300 a week is preventing employers from hiring low-wage workers, then there's a simple solution. Raise your wages, pay decent benefits. I mean, you wouldn't think that this would even have to be said, but it does have to be said, because we have these corrupting influences like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce that goes and lobbies the government on behalf of corporate America, on behalf of big business. And what does big business not want to do? Well, they don't want to raise their wages, and they don't want to give better benefits to their employees. So, I mean, really, all this shows you is, one, it shows you the corruption within our government, right? Because basically this is just a system of legalized bribery where you have corporate America funneling money into the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, who are then going and lobbying the government on behalf of corporate America at the expense of the interests of the overwhelming majority of Americans. So it's a system that allows and encourages open, brazen corruption that just happens to be legal under our system. And then on top of that, they're just outing themselves as having shitty pay and shitty benefits. They're showing their hand, right? The interests of corporate America and the interests of your average American are diametrically opposed, and that's just how it is under a capitalist system. The interests of those at the top, those who control and have the most power under a capitalist system, the capital owners, the CEOs, the board of directors, the executives, the shareholders, these people don't want to raise the wages or give decent benefits. Their interests are diametrically opposed to the interests of the working class, and therefore the interests of the overwhelming majority of Americans. So what does this say about capitalism? I mean, what this says is, again, not only the corruption, the open and brazen corruption in our system, but just that under a capitalist system, the interests of the working class and the interests of the capital owners are diametrically opposed to each other. And there's no way to reconcile that opposition there. So that's the situation that we're dealing with. We even had Biden hop in here. Even Joe Biden understands this issue better than Republicans do and better than the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Here's what he had to say very simply.
President, do you believe enhanced unemployment benefits had any effect on diminishing a return to work in some categories?
No, nothing measurable.
It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And listen, Joe Biden is 100% right in this. Janet Yellen is 100% right in this. Just like Bernie Sanders and AOC and Ilhan Omar are also 100% right about this. It seems like everybody is able to understand this very simple concept except the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and except corporate America. So it's very transparent what they're doing here. This is propaganda. This is open and brazen corruption. They're trying to lobby the government and pressure the government to get rid of these unemployment benefits. But we absolutely shouldn't, okay? As Joe Biden said in this clip, there's no measurable effect. And as Janet Yellen pointed out, there's no real measurable effect that these unemployment benefits are causing people to not look for work. There's no evidence of that. And the US Chamber of Commerce is just straight up wrong. And they're showing their hand, all of these businesses. If you can't operate your business without paying your workers starvation wages, you're not a legitimate business.